So you want to share a little bit about like growing up in Portland, and I know you played ball in high school. Your wife played ball.
My wife played ball.
She's better than you.
My wife was, man, okay. So I didn't share this when we were talking, but you know what though? Like my wife was better than me. And I think maybe I shared this as a testimony I've said before, but I remember my mother came home. She was like, she asked me this question, random question. She's like, can you beat a girl in basketball? I was like, Mom, yeah. Any girl, right? And she was like, okay. I think she knew something that I didn't know. Because so a week later we play this team, and we're from Northeast Portland. We go to North Portland, but the girl is kind of from Northeast Portland, and I just gave it away. But there's a girl on the basketball team, and she is. I'm looking at her in warm-ups. I'm like, oh, she's good, and she's cute. You know? I'm in the 6th, 7th grade. She's good and cute. What are you doing?
You're like, so what's up? Right? How you doing?
I'm guarding her.
I got 3.
Zone even. Nah, man to man. I got her.
Manning up, and I got her. No zone today.
D, we only play zone. I don't care.
No, we were man. Boxing one then, bro.
That's so good. Oh man, needed it.
So man, we at the gym, and it's this girl, and she's killing us. You know, I'm like, man, she's really good. Like, she's good. You know, now I know, like, Mom, you must have set me up. Like, Mom, this was this girl. She was Erica. She's cold. Mom, she's cold. She played like me. She played like all of us. Like, all my cousins, she plays like all of us. Like, all of us. She don't play like a girl on the court. But she's a girl off the court. Mom, it's so weird. I
never experienced it.
I was like, you know, is this a dream? This is like your dream, right? And then, man, fast forward and to high school, and I'm watching the same girl. She's always in the paper. I'm like, that's the girl from 6th, 7th grade. She's always in the paper. She ended up going to USC, and she comes back, and I'm unchurched, unlike Chris. I grew up.
I'm unchurched.
I was a hoodlum.
I feel like everybody used to start their testimony was like, I grew up in a Christian home. He's like, I was unchurched.
I was a rapscallion.
I was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
And so my basketball journey, I mean, I'll bring her back up in a second, but man, growing up in Portland playing basketball was just, it was fun, but when we went outside of our neighborhood, it wasn't fun. Like I think I told you before, like my first high school game was at a high school I will not name, but after the game, they threw rocks at our bus and was like, "Get out of here, you ends!" And I was just like, got home, and my dad was like, "Yeah, that's Portland basketball."
Wow.
And so he gave me the spiel. Make sure you go to the restroom. You in twos. You know, I'm pretty sure you know about that. Like, don't get caught by yourself. You know, just be safe on the safe side. And so like, had that talk, and before and then our next, you know, we'll go out here. We were always together. We wouldn't be in twos. We'd be like in fours. You know, like when women be like, "Do you gotta go?"
Y'all are like, yeah.
And they all go. That's how we were. Like, "Do you gotta go?" Yeah. We all gotta go. So
Someone's like, I gotta go. The whole team stands up. Like, all right,
like, we all gotta go.
Let's go.
So I kind of know what women be going through a little bit.
Yeah,
not a little bit. But that was my man. We didn't talk about it, but it was a race. It was our coach. I feel like basketball was a time of unity, but it also was a time of like, you know where you stand. And here in my in our city, a lot of people might not agree with this, but a lot of my friends will. Like, we were taught it's 5 against 7. The rest are never on your side. Just know that. When we walked into the gym, before we even got dressed and put on our jerseys, like we're down by 10. So you're already down by 10.
Wow.
You better be up by 20 to win by 10. That's what we were taught. And that was from a white coach. So I can I had friends that had a black coach, but you know, they talked a little bit more in depth about that. We just knew, like, you roll with the punches. And man, high school was it was a confusing time. Me just trying to figure out life, you know, learning about racism, learning about religion. My grandmother was a Christian. All my uncles were, not all my uncles, but a lot of my uncles were Muslim. So they taught me, you know, they got the Quran out. And I'm so confused. Grandma, you got the Bible, Quran. You know, the Quran is like the Old Testament. Like, what the heck is the Old Testament? You know, I'm not sure, bro. And then, who is this Jesus guy? I know about him, but no one ever told me about this Jesus guy, man. And like, it's funny. I remember I'm in high school. I'm asking my little cousin. He's like 10. So, because he goes to church like, so who is Jesus? Can you imagine like you're 14 asking like your 10-year-old cousin, who's Jesus? He's like, yeah, I just sing in the choir. I'm like, singing the choir. Like, so you don't have any answers? I mean, all I know about Jesus, like my grandmother taught me to say this prayer, you know, now lay me down to sleep, I pray my Lord, blah, blah, blah. And I would say that prayer religiously. Didn't go to church, but I would say that prayer before I went to bed. And just my life just taking a turn. High school basketball was fun. I was the JC kid. I did not take grade serious once I got to high school. It's just something about your team being really, really good in basketball. And when you put on your Letterman's jacket, I would wear my Letterman's jacket to the mall just so I could get girls. Like, oh, you go to Benson? Yeah. that was my line. And so remember that. That's my line. You see the Letterman jacket? Yeah. I didn't have to spit game. I didn't have any of that. And so
it's so real.
Right?
It's so real.
Look at that. Look at that.
You see the patches. You see the patches.
You see the patch. You see the number of. You see them slashes. That's varsity.
That's varsity.
And it was just crazy because just hearing that talk, you know, like because you're a race, and then basketball, and it's like it's just you know like white girls would like you. Like, now, do you like me because I play basketball, or do you like me because I'm cute? And just remember my dad saying, "Be careful." Like he didn't even know. He's like, just be careful." He's like, you know, he played basketball. All my uncles, they played basketball. They played football, different sports. They went to play college, and so they already knew without even. They never had to talk with me without. Well, they really saying they were just saying, "Be careful." So I would come home. And my dad would be like, "Was you careful?" Like the next morning, "Was you careful?" You know, make smart decisions. You know, don't be stupid. Like, right? Because I don't have. That's it's human wisdom. Like, you know, he's unchurched. He doesn't go to church. You know, like he believes in all faiths. You know, so he didn't really have any. You know, like he just gave me like, you know, he knew his black experience. Wow. So he just taught me that. Wow. And man, I was so lost coming out of high school, like lost. Like you get burnt. You find out when you go to college because I mean, I wanted to go to Pepperdine. So, you know, I had a 2.3. I had like an 800 on my SATs. I thought they didn't tell you like you really have to be the dude to have a 2.3 and an 800 on SATs to go to like a Pac-12 school. Right, and I wanted to go to like Pepperdine, and that was my dream school. And Pepperdine lightly recruited me. UOP kind of wanted me, but I didn't have the grades to go to UOP. And it was like UOP. My boy actually was like kind of swinging the UOP thing for me because he went there a year before me, and it was just funny. I remember my coach was like, "You got to get your grades up." Like, you just told me that my senior year.
Could he use that for you?
Yeah, like I was like, forget it. Like, like you should have told me that a long time ago. Like, oh my gosh. So, you know, D1 basketball. Right? Oregon State doesn't want me. I gotta go to JC route. So they would just like go to JC for a year or whatever. Man, I went to JC for a year, and you just found out like JC basketball is different. Life as a JC player is different. Like you lose a game and you on a bus, like the school bus, like we were riding. I'm like, you losing, playing games. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just like, man, I didn't smoke or anything like that, but man, you only can just take so much. And I was just like, man, let me hit that. And man, I started getting high. Not a lot. That wasn't my thing, but you know, I would get high. I'm like, man, I'm smoking weed. Like, what am I doing? Right? And I'm like, the next morning I was like, I just got high. Like I said, I would never smoke weed. You know, I know what drugs do to you. You know, like I know what they can. Like that's my community, family. I've seen all the, you know, it's like I know what drugs can do to you. I know why they're here. I know drugs don't. There's no drugs in the hood, but they're miraculously in our hood. There's no guns in our hood, but they're miraculously in our hood, right? So I stay away from those things. Well, I try to, but man, those things found me, and then I just started like drinking and kicking it, and life became about kicking it. And just like you play basketball for a minute, you understand. Like I don't want to work that hard, like. You know, you want to go to the NBA, like, you know, like Chris, NBA or bust. That's what I like. Forget overseas, NBA or bust. But there's a reality at a point, like, yeah, I don't want to work that hard. Like, basketball is a job. So I know a lot of people like, I want to go to the NBA. Are you really ready to put in 6 to 8 hours a day? And that's not on your, I mean,
that's the minimum.
That's minimum,
that's
right?
Minimum.
Unless you're 6'9". You know,
a 6'9" point guard.
Yeah,
like,
if you're not 6'9", you can't just go to the league. That league is not your future. Like you gotta be about basketball. And I was like, I don't want to be about basketball like that. First of all, I like legs. I'm probably doing way too much on this interview. You're good. I like legs, man. I like girls, and I like hanging out with my friends, and I like laughing and joking, and I want to have fun in life. I want to enjoy life, and I think I enjoy life a little bit too much, and I remember just in my apartment, bachelor apartment during the summertime with my cousin. Nobody was home, and I've never prayed like this before. Remember, my prayer was like, "Don't let me lower down, so you pray, Lord, my soul is sweet," which I would pray religiously, no matter how hungover I was. I would always pray that prayer. But one day, I got on my knees and I was like, "God, just show me my wife. I don't want to marry her yet because I'm too jacked up." I mean, you know when you jacked up, man. Like, I was like, I'm too jacked up. I want to marry her, but just can you at least show me her? Because right now this is not working when I'm doing my life. And so I go to a club and I have a beer. I buy a beer, and I'm drinking it, and I see this girl, and I'm like, ooh. My eyes is like. I'm just following her, and I'm getting mad at dudes because they dancing with her. Like, you dancing with my girl?
I don't even know her name yet.
I don't know her name yet, but you are dancing with my girl, right? And I'm like, why do I have this beer? You know, because I would drink just the courage. Because remember, I told you I didn't have no line, so I didn't have any game. So I had to drink to get some game, right? And because I had no game, just like you see that Letterman jacket?
That's right. Yep, that's right.
Where's your college?
You can't do that in college.
Where's your high school Letterman?
Where's your JUCO shirt?
They're like JUCO. You play JC.
You were J.
Get out of here.
with your Vincent jacket on. In the club.
Hey.
You see that Letterman jacket, girl?
Oh, that's good.
It worked for me for 4 years.
Right? Why does it just stop? I don't know. Like,
There's an expiration date. Weird.
It was definitely an expiration.
Another thing my basketball coach didn't tell me.
Hey, remember there's a...
Your high school glory days are numbered.
Oh man, that's hilarious. And so I see this girl, and man, I'm trying to think of a line. I gotta think of something I gotta think of something tight. I can't. And man, I can't think of nothing. It's like I better drink this beer. But so I can't think of anything, and then it's like 2 hours of me just following her around with my eyes, and the lights come on in the club, and I was like, man, I'm probably never gonna see her again. So I pretend to like bump into her.
Nice.
Right? and then bump into her, and I was like, Erica. And she was like, Dyon. I was like, oh, she knows me. And I don't have my letters.
I'm in.
And remember, I had no lines, and I was like, you want to go to the movies tomorrow? And she was like, yeah. That was my line. Bump into her, Erica, Dyon, you want to go to the movies tomorrow? I'm like, did I just say that? You know how you say something, you try to take it back? And I was like, but she said yeah. She doesn't know why she said yeah. And now, of course, we're married. So now she knows that was like really God. But so we date, and I called her. I was like, you want to go to breakfast tomorrow? And she's like, I gotta go to church. I'm like, oh, you go to church? Like, you been kicking it with me? Like, well, you know, I get there. So we're having a, you know, like we're just, you know, having cocktails and stuff. I'm like, I'm thinking like church people don't drink, whatever. But you know, she went to church. But I was like, I'll go to church with you. Like, and I was like, how do I don't go to church. I tried to take that back, and I could not take it back. And she was like, okay. And then so I was like, what do I put on?
Like, what do I wear?
That Letterman.
Right?
The Letterman.
I can't wear those Letterman.
These church folk, you don't worry.
Do you see that?
That's so good.
Oh, man. So I don't know what to wear. So I found some slacks, and then I get kind of like semi-dressed up, and I get to their church, and I'm like, oh, I could have wore jeans. And like, this is a cool church, and the pastor, he's up there preaching, and he's talking about Zacchaeus climbing up the sycamore tree, and and he's talking about Jesus Christ, and I never heard anyone explain Jesus Christ to me like that before in my life. And I was just like, he answered my question that I had as a youngster, why did Jesus die for me? And I was just like, oh my gosh, it blew my mind. I was captivated. And it gave me hope. And when you don't have hope, man, like you tend to rely on your human intellect. You tend to rely on society. You tend to lean onto so many different other things. You know, like what Proverbs 3, you know, like trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding. But if you don't trust in the Lord with all your heart, you're going to lean onto your own understanding, right? You're going to lean on something to give you hope, because you need hope. If you don't have hope, man, you're gonna do something stupid, something ridiculous. And so before I did something stupid, something ridiculous, God infused me with His hope, man. And I got like, I was like, this is cool. And so people thought I was dating this girl just to, you know, like I'm coming to church because I'm dating her. And I'm, you know, the basketball star, you know, like, but man, I was dating her. I feel like God called me to her, but man, she was going to church and I was going to church. And when sometimes she wouldn't go to church, I would still go to church. And that's when people were like, okay, this dude is serious. I didn't know, they didn't tell me like their eyes were on me. We was watching you, Dyon. And I was like,
he walked in wearing that Benson Letterman again. Oh my gosh.
He just had jeans on. He's kind of cool.
And so, right? I'm like, you guys are watching me? It's like, yeah, we want to make sure that you was like, but man, I was like, for real. I was like, man, this Jesus thing is like, it was a real relationship, and God really made him. I was like, he's real. Like, I gave my life over to him. We get married. So I married the girl that I used to like in 6th, 7th grade. Talk about that. And then God used her, I don't know how, to get me saved. It's crazy how when you pray, I think when I'm praying for marriage, because marriage is a God thing, it's not a worldly thing. It's like something you don't have to do. Like, but as Christians, God created marriage for us. You know, like, so you don't always you don't have to get married. Like, if you know, like, it's not. But marriage is something for like, I have to get. You know, it's the right thing to do. And so when I pray, I believe when I prayed that, you know, like marriage, God was like, okay, now you praying my will for your life. And so now I can begin just to get into your life and weave my will into your will. And now I'm going to guide you because you prayed something that I'm in agreement with finally. You know, like, and now I got your ear. You know, like, he probably was, I'm pretty sure he was talking to me right before. But I was like, God, what's that? Oh, my conscience. It's your conscience. And so it's like, I don't know, it wasn't my conscience, it was really Jesus Christ, man. And that was this. It was truth, and I think truth is something that we don't hold on to a lot anymore. And I think truth isn't like something during this time you talked about, man, during the riots and all that. I think one thing I'm learning about myself is truth, and I think now I can be honest with myself and my own feelings about how I think about just racially with the church and with people, my friends. And one thing I learned, I'm weak in that area, and I had to admit that I am actually weak. Like I used to thought, like, man, that's their problem. They need to deal with it. They're racist. They need to deal with it. But I found out, like, no, you have something in you too. And I remember God answered, man, I'm just talking, but God He asked me this question. He was like, would you let your daughter, how would you feel if your daughter married a white boy? He told me that's how me and God talk. So
come on, bro.
And I was just like, whew.
I'll get back.
Yeah. I'm not gonna answer that one right now. I'm not gonna answer that one right now.
So, anyways, Jesus, I have my bag's been ready.
And that was something I had to wrestle with, man. Like, I was like, yeah, God, if he's Christian, then yeah, I'm with it. If he's gonna treat my daughter the right way, I'm with it. Before, man, when he asked me that question, like straight off top, I was like, I don't know about that. Like, no. I don't know. We don't want that.
Not about that.
But now, I just have to, like, yeah, God, just give me peace with that. And I have to say I was weak in that area. And I think a lot of times we're afraid to admit that we're weak in that area. And if you don't admit that you're weak in the area, God can't be strong for you in that area. And so,
preach it now.
God, like Paul was like, like, get the stone out of me, and God was like, no, my grace is sufficient. If my grace is sufficient, and so if I don't, truth and grace are partners. They're hand in hand. So you're never gonna find grace over there and truth way over there. They're always gonna be walking in hand. So if his grace is sufficient, then I got to be truthful with my weakness. And I think, when Paul said I boast about my weaknesses, like, because Jesus, like, red letters in 1 Corinthians, or whatever, 2 Corinthians, whatever, red letters pop up, and Jesus, like, my grace is sufficient. He's like, well, I'm weak in this area too. I'm being boasted, and I'm weak in this area. I'm weak in this area. Paul's like I'm weak in all this. I'm weak in everything. And I think you have to admit that you're weak in an area so God can be strong in that area. And I think so many times people want to say, nope, I'm not racist, or nope, I don't battle with that. I'm strong in that area. And what they're saying is, like, I don't need God. Like, I got this. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have this because you don't have truth. You know what I mean? You're being fake, and you can say you can have all the grace, but if you don't deal with the truth of who you are, then how can God give you grace? How can God help you live a life that you're incapable of living on your own? And I think that was something that that I'm learning. Like, I have to forgive. When Peter just thought, like, I'll forgive 7 times, and God was like, no. You're going to forgive more than that. 70 times 70. Like, come on, bro. How, like, you think you got something? And I know, like, it's funny because as a coach, I think, you prepare for a game and you're like, we got this. And then you get into that game and you get hit in the mouth. Like, oh, they're really good. And you're like, we don't got this. That was Peter, like, forgive 7 times. 7 times. Yeah.
Not 1, she's 7.
Yeah. 7? Oh, I don't got it. Nope, I was not prepared for that. Like, and then he was just like, that was the only time you find the disciples praying for faith. Like, increase my faith. Yeah. Because it's like, there's something that I'm weak in this area. And that's what all Jesus wants to hear. I'm weak in this area.
Yeah, that's so good.
And if you can admit that you're weak in the area, then God can bring truth.
Wow.
And then God can bring grace right along with truth. And God can help you live a life that you've always dreamed of living. He can empower you to live a life that you're incapable of living on your own. And that's, man, I pray for his grace. I remember, like, last year, it was funny, my wife was looking at a team picture. I coached at Cleveland High School. And my wife, I didn't really notice it, but we took a team picture and my wife walks in. And she said, you're the only black person. the only black person you're the only black person in this picture. And she's like, you guys don't have that one. You guys have no black players. And I was like, nope. She said, what about on the JV team? I said, nope. What about the freshman team? I said, nope. She said, so you're the only black person in the whole program? I was like, yeah. She's like, so how do you do that? I was like, man, I don't know. I guess God's grace. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just like, I didn't really look at it like that. And I think, coming on to FCA, like, because I mean, when I walk into staff meeting for the first time and I see just no one that looks like me. Yeah. And it was something that I wasn't expecting that, first of all. I thought I would see one person. Yeah. Like, you guys do have an urban core, division. So I gotta be. Oh, it's so I'm like, I gotta be. I know it's gonna be one person. Yeah. And then, so I never really asked the question: is there another black person on staff? I just assumed there was another person because there's an urban core division. Like, yes, always gonna be like you said, token. Always gonna be somebody.
Always one.
And then I walked out. I was like, oh, I'm the one.
It's me.
And man, it's so funny because we meet in West Lynn, and I've never battled anxiety before. And I used to get in my car, and I know I would be like a couple of minutes late for staff meeting. Probably like, there goes the black dude. CPT, my God. CPT.
Can't never show up on time.
Never show up.
You said 2:00, we there 2:15.
Right. But what I would be doing, I would like pump myself up in my car, like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I had anxiety driving past Lake Oswego and into West Lynn and into the office, I mean, whatever, the fireplace, wherever we used to meet. Fireplace. Yeah. So I battled that for months, man. But God helped me in that. Yeah. Just like, I finally made it like, God, I'm weak in this area. And I need help because it was becoming a stronghold, man. It was becoming something that was hurting me. And I think it was hurting me because you guys were totally, you guys were like really open and really friendly and nice. And I found that I was like, okay, this is not an act. It's like, Michael's really like this. Like, he's really like a cool dude. Like this, like he's really cool. Like Chelsea's really cool. Like McKenna, that's who she is. Like, like Lauren just doesn't smile all the time like that. Like, she's really that happy, right? Yeah. I used to be like, man, I just tell my wife I was like, this girl just smiles all the time. I was like, there's no way somebody that happy. But you come to find out, like people are really like that, but when you have this anxiety, you create this stronghold, and strongholds are, there's something that you have a stronghold. It's a protection. We think of strongholds as bad habits, and strongholds are totally not bad habits. Strongholds it's something where somebody can't get in, but also no one can get out. And so what I was doing was creating these strongholds without me not even knowing, and so I wasn't allowing the cool Michael to even come into his heart to connect with my heart, or Chelsea's heart to connect with my heart. So I'm allowing these people not to get inside me, because it's all about relationships. Yeah. The Bible is nothing but a book of relationships. That's what you want to just boil it down, and it's like I didn't allow that. And I had these strongholds, and God was like, no, we're going to tear these strongholds down. The weapons of warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the tearing down of strongholds, casting down every thought, what I think about people, every imagination that would try to exalt itself above the knowledge of Jesus Christ. And I think sometimes we allow our thoughts, we allow our human thinking, our human intellect to exalt itself above the knowledge of Jesus Christ. And you just got to tear that down. You have to say, I'm weak in this area, so I can be able to use these weapons that God has afforded me to use, and it's like, that is just like, that's truth, man. Yeah. And we just be truthful and honest with where we're at. Yeah. And society, I think society, it'll be great. Yeah. But even in church, we don't want to, even though Sunday is the most segregated time in the world,
Yeah.
or in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like you go to your white church, I go to my black church, or or you go to your Russian church, or you go to the Hispanic church or Latino church, whatever, and we separate. And is heaven gonna be like that way?
I don't think so.
Right?
Yeah, I think Revelation says something about us all being together.
We're gonna be separate.
All right, God, Jesus, like, all right, guys, you know where to go.
You know where to go.
File in. Find your buddy, find your line, all right? Stay in the lines.
So, I was like, I've always had a problem with that. If heaven's not going to be like that, then why are we like that?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't fault. Yeah, if you're way up, your church is in Lake Oswego, yeah, you're probably not going to be a lot, isn't it? You're going to be not diverse. But if you're in Portland, Oregon, and you got an all-white church, or if you're in Portland, Oregon, and you have an all-black church, or you have an all-Asian church, or whatever, then something's wrong. And I think you need to purposely get outside of your circle and go and meet other, people that don't look like you and invite them to your church, because church shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
If heaven's not going to look like that, then church shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like, that's kind of like what I'm learning just during this time. It's not, I can't change people's minds, but God can, and they just have to open up to God, Yeah. I'm just rambling.
You preaching, bro. You preaching.
So,
I think a couple things that stuck out to me was, I think a lot of times, especially the past year, I had found myself saying those things like, they just need to fix themselves. They just need to fix this. They need to do this. But Jesus in the Bible was like, yo, grab the log out of your eye before you try to point the speck out of this person's eye. And I think so many times we got to start with that question of like, I'm weak. Like, it's me. And I need to do the things that I need to do. And I'm praying that this conversation for our coaches and athletes just makes them just look in the mirror and be like, where am I at? And if you see that you're not weak, then go to the feet of the Father and say, hey, I'm weak. I need some help. And I think the goal of this conversation, I just thank you for sharing just the unity of the body. Like, we just want to see the heaven come to earth like it is in heaven. And I think for us, just to wrap up this conversation, it's if you don't see people this way, then I hope that you can go to Jesus, because Jesus will teach you how to see people this way.
That's good.
If you have issues in your heart that rise up when these conversations come about, we need to fix those things, but it's okay. Let's run to the Father to fix those things. I think a lot of times people want to see the end result before they take the first step. When Jesus comes off the mountain after transfiguration, the dad comes up to him and he's like, my son's always been like this. And Jesus is like, well, do you have faith? He says, I do believe, but help me have more faith. So it's like, I have belief in the power of Jesus to change my future, but my reality's always been this way. So give me the faith to say, Jesus, you can change my reality, even though my circumstances right now don't fit that reality. And I hope for the coaches and athletes that watch this just takes you back to your own relationship with Christ and understanding that there is a gap right now. The world was created one way, we messed it all up, and now it looks like this. And now we have people who are struggling in a society that they're different everywhere that they go. And that's just not the way God created it to be. So how can we as the church, as the body of Christ, as Western Oregon, PDX, FCA, step into that gap? And I think it starts with me. It does. Like, it starts with me. I need to sit with the Father and be like, what's the log in my eye to help me see my brothers and sisters better? Because if we have a right view of who God is, we have a right view of who we are. But then ultimately we have a right view of who everybody else is.
Amen.
So we hope that this just pushes you to Scripture, time with the Lord, prayer. And again, I just want to thank you guys for being here. Your stories are great. And I love it. I love kicking it with D. And I love just hearing just all the joy in the midst of suffering and the crazy circumstances. So thank you both for being here with us.
Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having this conversation. Open the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is just the start of a conversation. So we're excited for what God can do just through conversation.
Yep.
So we'll see you next time. Thanks, Western Oregon. See you later.
See y'all.